Hello, it's Anna Scheller here with USA Biz Party. So glad you could join me today. It's an amazing day. We are starting a new chat, new year. There's just so much going on. So I want to thank you if you're joining me live. It's a pleasure to have you with me. We're going to be talking about goals, the things that we do at the beginning of every year to try to make our lives better. We're going to talk about how to actually make goals work for us. So thank you for joining me live. If you are joining me live, please say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're joining from. If you're joining from the US, what state? If you're joining from outside the country, please say what country you're from. You can do that whether you're on the replay or you're with me live. And again, we're going to be talking about goals. We had a very lively discussion today in USA Biz Party. So for those of you who don't know what USA Biz Party is, USA Biz Party is our Twitter chat that we run every single Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll have to excuse me. I've still got the chat is still going in front of me. I have another computer right in front of me with the chat still rolling. But yeah, so every week we talk about topics that are important to businesses. Again, if you're following me or you're here, please say hello. Do share this broadcast with people on your Twitter feed, on YouTube. We're on YouTube right now as well, and in Facebook. Share this with those folks. So let them know what we're doing here, because our mission is to help businesses grow. Everything we do, we now are building our membership website, and there's just all kinds of great fun going on with that. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for joining. By the way, if you have a question, I will be able to see it, and I can post it up here and we can talk. Do you have any questions or a comment? Then I'd love to hear from you. So what do we have to do to make sure that our goals are achievable? There's a lot of stuff out there about that, and I would love to hear what you've done, or what you've heard. Goals can be kind of a double-edged sword for a lot of people. I know when I was younger, I had goals, and I even got one of those things called a day timer, because I was a stay-at-home mother. I had just one child at the time, and I wanted to be productive because I had just come out of the military and the work world. And what I found is that I didn't know how to manage myself inside of those goals. Have you ever had that challenge? If you've had it, then put a 1 in the chat. If you've ever had that challenge of you really didn't know how to manage yourself inside of the goals that you set. And put a 2 if said, no, I don't have any problems with that, Anna. Never have had any problems with it. But a lot of times when we're starting out on goals, we see a problem in our lives and we want to fix it. We want to be better. We want to lose weight. We want to get better financially. We want to make more friends. We want to be more social. Maybe we're raising our family and we want to have the children doing more chores, or you want to save up for that family vacation. So we set these goals, but then we expect things to happen really fast. Has that ever happened to you? I know I'm going to share some of my personal journey for the last 2 years. So I've been in business at Capri Temporary Housing for over 10 years. And every year, everything was like, oh, we're gonna do better this year. But I would get like 3 months into the year and things seemed to fall apart. And we were going check to check. I know that's probably not something everybody, enjoys hearing, but the truth of the matter is we started going check to check. And then what happened was we couldn't make up the deficit in the good times because I didn't have the knowledge to handle the money properly. No, I didn't cheat anybody out of money, just letting you know. But so I would have these goals, but I didn't know how to implement those goals. Again, if you have ever had that problem, you have a goal, but you just don't know how you're going to reach it, put a 1 in the chat. Maybe even share a goal. Is it a weight loss goal? Is it a business goal? Is it a financial goal? Sometimes we say, I want to make $1 million. Well, that sounds like a good goal, but in actuality, it's pretty weak because we really don't have like a time frame that we want to make $1 million. And then when we start to make a time frame, we begin to realize it's not necessarily going to happen in the time frame that we're thinking about unless our time frame is big enough and it's long enough. So let's talk first about what kind of goal do we need to set? What kind of goals do we need to set? First of all, we have to look at the size of the goal. I just said make $1 million. Now, probably most of us have made $1 million in our lifetime, but let's say $1 million. Let's say I want to make $1 million. I want to bring revenue into my company for $1 million in 3 years. So the third year, it's going to bring $1 million in revenue. Well, see, now that becomes something that could be achievable depending on your business, right? A 3-year goal. So it's got a time frame. You have a limit to what you're going to do to get there. And the next thing is you want to set some littler milestones, if you will, to get you to that goal. You want smaller milestones to get you there. So what could happen is you could break down the year. So let's say $1 million is in 3 years. You want to make sure that you're at $500,000 in 2 years. And you want to be sure that you're covering, let's say, $300,000 this year. So then you've got these smaller goals that are a little bit easier to reach, because once you want the goal to be big enough that you have to stretch, but small enough that you can achieve it, right? So many times we create this goal that we want this big goal, but we don't give ourselves enough time to get the goal. And we don't look at the real factors that enable us to achieve those goals. Does that make sense? So whether you're live with me or you're on the replay, think about what is something that you can do today that would be helpful to your goal. So it's not bad to have a big goal, but we want to break that goal down into smaller, achievable mileposts. And we want to start making a plan for something we can do every day to get to that milepost. Now that sounds pretty simple, but a lot of times we need accountability. So let's break this down. So you have a goal. In 3 years, your company is in the third year going to be making $1 million in revenue. Year 2, you're backing yourself up. Year 2, it's going to be $500,000 in revenue. Year 1, you're shooting for $250,000 in revenue. Okay, so then you break that goal down, and you want to break it down even further. So let's say the $250,000, you want to make sure by June that you're at $125,000, right? So then and I would even encourage you to break it down by quarters. Create a quarterly plan to reach your goal. So you start at the 250, and then you realize, okay, 250. So what is half of 250? Well, it's 125. Okay, so 125, what's half of that? So that's going to be 675. 600, yeah, 625. Yeah, $62,500 for the first quarter. Okay, so then you start to break down what is it going to take to have that much revenue in that first quarter. And then you start to build your plan. Well, today I need to start working on my marketing. Well, gee, I don't know what else to do. So then you think, well, maybe I need to spend a little bit of money studying marketing. There's lots of people out there. One of the most powerful tools for marketing is email marketing. Next week, I'm so excited, Rob and Kennedy are going to be joining us, the email marketing heroes. They're going to be joining us and talking to us about how we can start to implement a very simple program to be consistent in our email marketing. You say, well, now that's going to take time. Yes, but every little step you take is valuable toward achieving your goal. And you celebrate those steps. So there are days where it feels like you don't get anything accomplished. One of my goals this year is to learn how to play the piano. Now, I have some rudimentary piano skills, but one of the most important things I can do, so I'm working on a piece right now. So my goal is that by the end of this month, I can play that piece with some proficiency, with that I could do a recital type thing. It's not a big piece, it's a very small piece, but it's a challenging piece for me. So to get to that goal, so what do I need to do? Well, the one thing I need to do every day is I need to sit down and I need to practice at the piano. So some days I get home after work and I just don't have it in me to practice the piano. But all I have to do is sit down. If I just make myself sit down for 5 minutes at the piano, before I know it, 30 minutes have passed and I've done my practice. We celebrate that. What is your challenge when it comes to your business? Maybe you need to be calling more people, but you hate cold calling, don't we all? Well, here's the thing. You want to start first by saying, I'm going to make a list of people that I can contact. Maybe you go into LinkedIn, maybe you look on the internet. You look at, one thing to do is you can look at all of the customers that you've ever had, because a customer that you currently have is a customer you can keep, right? So you make a list of those people and you write up a little script, and then tomorrow you decide, okay, I'm just going to call them and say, hey, how are you doing? So glad you're with us. How can we help you further? Or just to have a conversation to let them know that you're interested in their business. So then you start to build your list. So the next day you go, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes today calling people. And you put that on your calendar and you make a date. Then you're diligent to fulfill that. So then maybe you don't make a sale that day, but you congratulate yourself because you took action toward that. And then what you'll find is the next day you're going to sit down to do some more calls and you're going to feel better and you're going to want to do more. Keep your plan doable. It only takes, I've heard this before, but think about it. If you're traveling in an airplane from Los Angeles to New York, the airplane, the pilot has a direction that he's going to go, and he wants to stay true to it. But along the ways, there's always little course corrections that the electronics and the pilot are doing to stay on course. Because 1 degree, if the pilot takes off from Los Angeles to New York and he's 1 degree off, he will end up miles from his destination by the time he gets all the way to the East Coast. So there's all these little course corrections that happen throughout the flight because the airplane's going to tend to veer off. And then the GPS or whatever, my husband knows all this stuff, he's a pilot. All that stuff starts to bring you back. And they're all little course corrections. So you don't have to make big ones. And you don't have to wait until you're this far off to come back. You see that you need to do something. Let's say you don't get to all those phone calls today. No problem. No problem at all. You know what? You can get to the phone calls tomorrow. Don't add to your list. If you didn't get to your 30 minutes today, don't say, well, I'm going to call people for an hour tomorrow. No. Just pick up where you left off. Pick up where you left off. Keep it doable. Keep it doable. So when it comes to getting goals, you want to make sure that the size of your goal fits the time frame of your goal, and you break it down into smaller goals that you build plans to implement. And those plans need to be daily plans, something that you will do every single day. If you miss a day, have grace. We're not perfect. We don't get to everything. If you miss a lot of days, then you want to stop and think about how important is that goal to you? Or why are you putting it off? That's really important. The psychology of goals is amazing. And a lot of times we don't get to things because we're afraid or we're putting off what we think is inevitable. But the fact of the matter is, if you're putting it off, then you want to take some time, step away from your work or whatever, and just ask yourself, did you set too big of a step for yourself? What is something you could do that's a little smaller? And start to dream about fulfilling that goal. That's another important part of goal fulfillment. A dream, fulfill your dream. Well, anyway, you want to make sure the size of the goal fits the limits you want, the time frame of the goal. You want to make sure that it is achievable, but it's a stretch. And you want to plan little steps you can do every single day. Have grace with yourself. Grace is so important. Be graceful to yourself when it comes to your goals. And I guarantee that what you start today, you will be miles ahead, even in just a month. Take care. Thank you for joining next week. Oh, by the way, if you're on here, go ahead and like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, USA Biz Party. We would love to have you there. We are building up our USA Biz Party membership site. Exciting things are going to be happening in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to launch it pretty soon. You'll be hearing announcements. And the USA Biz Party site is going to be a place for you to connect, to grow, to learn, to network, and to make 2021 a better year for you. Thank you for joining me. Take care and make it a great day.